I don't know what else to do because we, men, we've been running the show since what, 10,000 BC, something like that? And we're not doing so good. So please, can you guys just take over? Can you? I think it's time. Sorry.
I have to say, I love Will Ferrell. His movies like Elf, his SNL skits, Celebrity Jeopardy, and hey, you, me, staring contest right now. You win. You always do. I love that skit. Anyways, Will's awesome, but man hate. It's there. Maybe, well, what's he talking about? First, I think that he's probably thinking that if women were in charge of the world, there would be less violence. There would be less war. He's probably right. There would be less war. Women are not as likely to go out and fight, put fisticuffs up. But in Macbeth, you have Macbeth, who is going to be the king. You know, these crones, these evil crones, see him in the forest, and they say, "Double, double, toil and trouble, cauldron burn, cauldron bubble." And they tell him that he is going to be the king. But, you know, in order for him to be the king kind of has to die. So he gets back, he finds out that the first step that these wenches told him was going to happen happened. So he's like, you know, if that happens, I'm probably going to be king. So he tells his wife, Lady Macbeth, and she is power hungry. You know, behind every great man is a great woman who is pushing him along, says, we need that bigger house, we need to get that stuff. Because most guys are kind of content with what they have. Usually, you know, before I was married, and my wife is awesome, but before I was married, before I had the responsibilities of a family, I rented a room for like $200 a month. I had a fairly low-paying job that I was a youth pastor, just trying to give back to the community. I didn't necessarily want anything. But once I had a wife, once I was developing a family, I quit that. I mean, I still try to make a difference. It's one reason I started this. But I had the desire, I had the need to make money. So I had to actually look for jobs where I could make an income. Never really been good at that. But that's the whole reason, like having a family is the whole reason that I've looked to make more of an income, looked for more say power. And a lot of times I think with guys, that's the reason, you know, that they are maybe not content because they are trying to impress a lady. And that's not to throw shade at the ladies or say it's all their fault. It's just the dynamic between men and women, whereas men want the acceptance, want the approval of the women in their lives. So they do these grand things, they do these amazing things in order to try to feel respected and loved. But the women from the other end don't necessarily have that same thought pattern. Guess what? Going off to war is not secure, it is not safe, it is get you killed. Think about this. The kind of people who get into power are the kind of people who want power. Those are not the kind of leaders that you want. Men, they can be strong-willed, but unless they're trying to impress somebody, they're typically not looking for a fight because they don't want to get punched in the face. Women typically do not get punched in the face, so they have less restraint about that. Think about Lady Macbeth. She just pushed her husband, pushed him to become king, to the point of killing the king. Yeah. And for that power and to please his wife, Macbeth just went along with it. There's another type of person who want men to go to war, want to protect the homeland, want to bring back resources. They're called politicians, and they treat people like chess pieces. And that is not right. Here's the question. Should people be in power? People. I'm not saying men. I'm not saying women. Should people be in power? In Israel, they would have spiritual leaders who would act as judges among the people. And if there was a time of conflict where they needed to go into battle, they would also lead them into battle. But they were not kings. The people were free. That was a time of freedom. And when the people wanted a king, God gave them Saul. But what did he say? He said, if you have a king,
He will abuse you. He will take your lands. He will take your gold. He will take your wealth. Like, this is not a good thing. This is not a good idea. This is what everybody else is doing, but maybe because they're in sin. America is the land of the free, home of the brave, where we are free people, not under a king, not under a powerful government. At least we should not be. The founding fathers said if you marry power and wealth together, you will attract the worst kind of people into politics. That's what's happened. We have the worst kind of people into politics. People who would send men to die in war, but would never go themselves. Like David, when he stopped going out to war and fell into sin with Bathsheba. He was a good king for many years, but then the thought of being king, the thought of power, corrupted him, at least for a while. He stopped going out to war with his men. He just sent them to war, like modern politicians. And he fell into sin with Bathsheba while he was there. Fell into adultery, like modern politicians. Fortunately, David repented and became that man after God's own heart again. But, men, we are meant to lead our families. Are we meant to lead the country? Maybe. We could. So could women. There have been lots of powerful women who have led wonderful countries. But the really question is, how much power should we give our leaders? Because they are sinners. They are not to be trusted. God created us as creative beings. We have these brilliant minds who can create, who can build. But, we are also bent towards destruction because of our sins. So we're very creatively going towards our own destruction. And when we put people with that much power in charge of countries, in charge of the world, we're just empowering our own destruction. So maybe in these election cycles, we should try as hard as we could to bring back that power to the people, and in a home to create men who lead their families and provide.
Scriptures have given the mantle of leadership to the man, and not as a right, but as a responsibility, which is very different than putting somebody in charge and just saying, oh, you're king for the day, you're going to have a good time, tell everybody what to do. No, it's that weight of responsibility, whereas if there's a decision that needs to be made, you're the one who needs to make it. You need to make the best decision because your family is at stake. Your country is at stake. Your people are at stake.
Now, in order to provide for their families, men don't just have to go out and conquer. Today's equivalent would be, say, shady business practices and trying to take from other people in order to, say, pay your rent. I used to work in sales, and I knew people who they would get guests come up to them and they say, that's my car payment, that's my rent payment. And that's how they viewed these people. And they would say anything just to get that person to buy so that they could get their commission. Didn't matter what happened to the other person. That is that conquering mindset. That is destruction. But men don't have to just do that. Women don't have to. People don't have to just do that. Building, you can also build. Take what God has given you. Find a way to improve it. Build upon it. If you have some land, put a garden in. Provide food for your family. If you know of businesses in your area, find a way that you could provide value for them to expand what they're currently doing. Provide ways to build. Guys love this. Think about the games that guys like to play. They like to conquer, those shoot 'em up games, but they also like to build, like Minecraft. So why don't we just gamify life and do that? In this video, I look into the 10 different ways that Solomon used to build his kingdom. Because Solomon did not go to war, but he became very, very wealthy. In this video, I'm developing a new series that it will be there soon. Now it's going to be random. I take those principles and I try to implement them in real life and see what I can do. God bless you guys.